The faster you can debrief, process, and learn from any project, event, or outcome, the more you will learn. Welcome to the Drew Coaching Podcast. My name is Eric Drew, and Drew Coaching raises up leaders who shape the future. And the podcast is a weekly boost for your leadership in 10 minutes or less. This is season 3, and we're looking at 3 cheat codes for uncertain times. They are clarity, competence, and culture. Competence is a cheat code in uncertain times because great people will get great results. Now, with rapid change and anxiety all around us, learning and development must be continuous. When we adopt a learning posture, we become open to all possibilities. And then every step, no matter how successful, is the opportunity to have more impact and make more progress. One of the best times to process, learn, and prepare for next steps is right after the completion of any project. Whether your project, event, presentation, or whatever else was large or small, one of the best habits we can develop to build competence is having a meeting to debrief. Now, a debrief is exactly what it sounds like. We reflect on, celebrate, and learn from the action we just took. There's so much we can learn, whether our project was successful or not. If you'll do a similar project in the future, this is the time to start documenting learnings and next steps. If not, I bet you'll have some learnings that you want to remember for whatever your next project is. A project debrief is an intentional pause to celebrate, learn, and set the next direction. For a debrief after whatever action you or your team have taken, here are 3 questions to discuss with your team. First question is this: what went well? You could ask this question a few different ways. Sometimes I'll ask, what do we celebrate? Maybe, what would we definitely do again? Sometimes I might ask, so what worked well for us? The goal here is to see positive impact and celebrate. No matter how successful your action or project was, I bet there was something to celebrate. What went well? Take the time to notice and say it out loud. First, your whole meeting will go better if each person, or as many people as possible, hear their own voice saying something positive early in the conversation. But also, our minds tend to dwell more on the negative than the positive. I promise, you'll get to that part of the conversation when you talk about what didn't work well. But first, talk about what worked. You want to celebrate. Remember that, and you probably want to do it again. The next agenda item or question I would ask in a debrief is, what would we do differently? Now, I like this better than what didn't work, or spending a lot of time complaining and dwelling on the negative. Your team knows what didn't go well. By asking, what would we do differently, you help the conversation be more productive. This might not be natural for everyone, and you might have to reframe responses and what gets shared. So, for example, if the team gets caught up complaining that the registration software caused delays and was hard for users to register, you might help them articulate, the event registration system didn't work as well as we hoped, so next time we would start preparation earlier and test it before we go live. No matter how well or how poorly your project went, I'm sure there are things you would do differently. Don't camp too long on the negatives, but have the conversation about how to make it better. What would you do differently? Third thing I'd ask is, what else are we learning? In uncertain times, competence is a cheat code. Learning, growing, competent, smart people are going to excel. You have people like that. You just have to get into the habit of learning. So, ask people what they're learning. It kind of is that easy. But let me say a few other things about asking this in any project or event debrief. By asking what went well, you'll re-articulate and remember behaviors or practices that you want to happen again. By asking what you would do differently, you'll have a productive conversation about what could go better. Now, those two conversations are going to be really, really helpful for whatever you're working on next. Asking, what else are we learning, simply provides more space once the thoughts and ideas have started flowing. Now, there may be learnings that aren't celebrations or improvements necessary. That's great. But asking what else are we learning also just creates a little more space for the group to share reflections and learn together. I've noticed that some of the best reflections happen when we ask this and give just a little more time for the team or individuals to process and share their learnings, celebrations, growth areas, whatever's next. And here's the deal, friends. A project debrief is just that easy. What went well? What would we do differently? What else are we learning? I've done dozens and dozens of these meetings with teams. No matter how many notes I start with, or how much preparation I've done, to things I want to share with the team, or feedback items and lists I have, almost every team has a great productive conversation that helps us calculate our next steps, develop a learning posture, and build competence. Just get in the habit of meetings like this, and asking these questions will start to transform the culture to learn more and be more competent. If you are living and leading in uncertain times, build competency through debriefs. This week or this month, start growing by reviewing previous actions. Now, to continue your journey, I want to give you a few application questions that might help you. What is your normal process after the end of an event or project? How might you add a debrief meeting? On a scale of 1 to 10, how successful are you at giving and receiving feedback after important actions? What would be different if you scored a 9 or a 10? Then I want you to find a project or event that's coming up soon and plan a debrief. Who will you need to work with? What actions will you take to make it happen? If you're committed to building competence, and I'm telling you, you need to be, it's a cheat code because we're living in uncertain times. So I want you to master the debrief meeting. In these 3 questions, you will begin to make significant improvements. Now, as you work on it, I want to help. You can find the show notes, these questions and some more thoughts at drewcoaching.online. I'm also sharing on social media with encouragement and content so you can grow throughout the week. You can also share with me there on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. If you subscribe and follow the podcast, you won't miss any of this content. I'm grateful for your 10 minutes a week that you commit to growing with us, and I'd love it if you'd share that if you find it helpful. And finally, recently I released a free ebook. It's called Make the Most of Your Rest This Summer. Summer can be a rich time of renewal, and I don't want it to pass you by. So in the ebook, I share 5 practices to make the most of your rest this summer. If you want to embrace the art of rest and discover your best, make your way over to drewcoaching.online. Get the ebook for free. Hey, thank you for connecting. I'm grateful for your leadership, your investment of time in yourself and your team this week. Don't forget, you're a leader, you're a creative. The world needs your voice. So learn from previous action. As you do that, I know you're going to continue raising up others, bringing hope to life. Remember, we're in this and we're better together.